Sabrina Talley, I'm the Parking Services Division Manager. We're under the Department of Transportation, and Chris is also here from Traffic Engineering. A little bit about parking. So the Parking Services Division operates the 4 public parking garages. Those are operated 24/7. Also on-street parking meters. Those are enforced Monday through Saturday from 8 to 6. And then we also have several surface lots, and we are responsible for the enforcement side of things as well. In terms of, I think some of the things you might run into, that you might get questions on from members of the public, things about maybe parking garage operations, where to park, or how do I get out of the garage, right? Sometimes people get confused, they're not quite sure how it works, or they lose a ticket, or they panic because they can't figure out how to get out and they park and they're looking for somebody who's around. We don't always have people who are in the garage, so we don't have, unless it's during a special event, we'll have people actually at like a booth, but that's typically, again, just special event, weekend, evenings. But there's lots of other time frames where we've got visitors who aren't familiar with things coming and going, and you wouldn't be surprised if you had folks coming to you with parking questions or who do I contact. Also things like parking enforcement, tickets. So our main office for parking is on it's at 45 Wall Street. It's actually just underneath the Wall Street parking garage. So if you go down the big steps there into the courtyard, our office is right there near where the climbing gym used to be. And that office is open Monday through Friday, and that's 8:30 to 5. So with any of those, if folks want to, pay a parking citation, they can do that there. If they're interested in monthly parking, other types of parking questions, that's a good resource, and I've got information on the contact info for you there. Also folks, if they may have questions about how they appeal citations, things like that, right? That's a great resource. You can also let them know they can go online if they want to appeal those or pay them. Also, there may be some questions, especially coming up this summer, about pay by self. So our parking meters, we currently use Passport, which is the mobile app where folks can pay for their parking meter using that app. We are transitioning to a different mobile payment system, so we're in the middle of that development right now. The new vendor is going to be Flowbird, but there may be folks who've been using this for years that are trying to figure out, like, why isn't this working? What's going on? Can you help me? So just being aware that that change is coming through, and you might get some questions about paying for parking or why that app maybe isn't working at the parking meters downtown. We will be putting up stickers and notifying businesses as well, and handing out flyers to try to get that word out. But I suspect, again, people have been using this for years are going to run into problems and questions.
Will that one accept American Express?
I don't know.
I was on the parking committee and I was like, can we please have it accept Amex?
I don't know, but I can find out. Let's see.
But it is a thing because people will jam their Amex and jam it 1,000 times over. And then I just tell them, hey, it doesn't accept Amex. But that is something that comes because our office looks at a lot of parking meters. So I'm often going outside and just helping people walk through it. It's also hard for older people to see the screen. And so sometimes it's helpful to help them navigate the little system because they can't see the screen.
And the buttons are finicky.
The buttons are finicky. Yeah. So it's that you'll probably come across that a lot.
Yeah, great point. Let's see what else. So in terms of contacts, so I think during business hours, Monday through Friday, daytime, or the parking services main office, if there's things they run into or need refer, that's a great contact. And then they can kind of help relay or get that to the right contact if they can't answer that directly themselves. After hours, we do have it's a parking security cell, which is listed there. So that number will ring in. It is posted in the garages as well. So if people need help, that number will ring to the operations supervisor on duty's phone. So it's forwarded to their phone while they're on duty. If for some reason they maybe aren't there, or it's between like shifts, or we don't have somebody on shift that night, it does get forwarded to the security contractor. So we do have security, ideally 24/7. Not that isn't always the case, and with some staffing challenges that they've had as well. So we've tried to focus on really having security, at least 2 people on during overnight shifts and weekends. So during those times where our staff don't have as visible of a presence, we do try to have more security on during those hours. So that phone will then get forwarded to the Walton security folks, and they're familiar with our operations and can also provide assistance. And like if people are stuck and they can't get out of the garage and need a gate raised or help figuring out how to get out, those types of things, they can help with that. And then also the parking operations supervisors, those folks are responsible for overseeing really all of the operational aspects of customer service in the garage, helping folks again with if there are equipment problems. They can do some minor maintenance, although we do have a separate maintenance team. But they would be the folks who would respond to customer issues or problems that are happening in a parking facility. They're also responsible for overseeing the custodial services and staff. So all the cleaning and other issues. So if there's something that you come across, or maybe receive a complaint from somebody out on the street related to something that we'd want to take care of, urgently, human waste, needles, any of those types of things, those are also folks, you can contact them directly on those cell numbers there. So either one of those, the parking security cell and then that direct parking operations supervisor number, either one of those should get you in contact with them. But, again, it's just good to have both of those numbers available too.
Where do you guys take needles?
I actually don't know.
Okay, we're gonna
We'll find out.
get to that about the needle conversation.
My operations supervisors could answer that question for you.
I would say, we're probably not gonna be doing too much work in the parking garages, but you'll probably hear feedback a lot. And that's another time that you can do the Asheville lab or reach out to one of these guys if you hear about an issue in a parking garage. Especially, I spend a lot of time near Rankin Garage and the Harris Garage, and I think there are sometimes people sleeping there and things like that. So I'm definitely putting that in the Asheville app will be super helpful. Who do you call if you've lost your key card to get into a parking garage?
The main number there is the best number. But if you've lost it while you're trying to get out, the helpline is the best. There's a help button right at the exit or at any of the pay and foot kiosks. So those are video conferencing. So the folks on the other line can help assist and get contact info if you need, like if somebody needs to make a payment and they've lost their wallet, they can get that information from them, and then we reach out to that customer, and follow up to get that payment. Any other questions?
The security contract has been great. The garages have felt really clean and safe recently, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And also management of events, I feel like has been really, really top notch recently. So thank you for all your work on that.
Yeah, I'll pass that along to our supervisor.
I also let them know because especially Billy Strings and SoCon seemed like a breeze compared to previous years.
And thanks to Chris too for his coordination with that.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that was tough even with the high velocity corpus.
Well, we were so thankful
Yes,
that they opened Tallahassee back up for SoCon. That was like a game changer. I don't know that it would have been rough without it.
Well, I'll carry on. I'm Chris Cairns. I'm the city traffic engineer, and my group receives a lot of complaints about a lot of things. So I'm sure you'll get some of that. What we oversee are like all the signs in the public right of way, street lights. We We don't, well, we do maintain some, but Duke Energy maintains most of them. But we coordinate with them directly on getting work orders to fix things. Sometimes it'll be a whole row of them out and then there's something bigger going on, but we'll coordinate with them immediately.
A whole row of what? I'm
A
sorry.
whole row of streetlights, because like,
Oh,
I think by
streetlights,
Pritchard Park, I think they had a whole string of them in a row, so. We can be that contact. I mean, we can give you contacts at Duke Energy, but our guys have a direct way to put work orders in for them, so. I've provided the list of the main contacts. So I mentioned streetlights, but we also do traffic signals, the city traffic signals. Sometimes those get hit, sometimes people yank things down, just vandalize, but we get most of that reported via Asheville app, but if there's ever something urgent, the mobile numbers are the best way to get a hold of folks. The street signs, we also, when people think, oh, there should be this kind of sign here or that kind of sign, that's the stuff that we look at. So we can, if there are suggestions, we try to minimize signs, but maximize the benefits. So if there's like, we don't want to go adding 50 signs to say one thing. So we do like good ideas, so you're welcome to send those anytime. Those would usually come to me. David Kidd, the very last guy, he is one that does a lot behind the scenes. He coordinates lane closures, street closures, sidewalk closures. He's the one who issues the permits for those. And before we issue, almost always before, he sends out a notice. And I'm not sure who else on that list. It's like,
I don't think I get it, but I would love to know. I'm curious how we find out if somebody who's closed a sidewalk or a street has a permit.
David Kidd. I mean,
That's awesome.
I think the best way, I would suggest that we add you to our big list, because
Okay.
we send it out to the APD, fire department, transit.
We'd love
everybody.
to get added. And that's a huge revenue generator for the city. So I'm always like, I have to pay to close down a street. So I want to make
Yeah.
sure that the people actually have money should be paying it.
Yeah,
too.
no, I don't mind that. We're more
So I'm
concerned-
like, I always want to know, like, do they have to post it? Or like, how can we make sure that they're paying their like
Yeah,
$500 a day?
there's not an easy way to find it out at this time. There will be, hopefully within the next year, but,
Yeah.
so what email address should I add to the list?
You can add, do info@ashevilledowntown.org. And then we can make sure it gets, we can find some other people up. Yeah, we've been having a lot of what I think are probably unauthorized street closures.
Yeah, we get those unfortunately too often.
I know, but y'all make so much money on it. I'm like, make these people pay.
Yeah, traffic engineering does not have the ability to cite people.
Right.
So David goes out, talks to them and say, hey, you get a permit. If it's bad, like one of the big developments, building a hotel or something, we'll get our,
I mean, they might have a permit, but I have to imagine.
yeah, no, a lot of times, yeah, sometimes it's a permit that lasts for 6 months or
Yeah.
longer, but,
What's the posting requirement
for
on,
permits, we don't have one.
That's what I'm saying. There's not really a way to know whether or not they've pulled a permit to shut down the street.
yeah, because I imagine these guys would be very helpful in the enforcement of that. So that might be a good
I know.
incentive
That's
to
what I
get
wanna
some
know.
sort of
Mostly just
posting.
because it is such a great revenue generator, and if we're not if the city's not capturing that, like I would.
Well, there's also like a safety component.
Oh yeah, well,
with-
and it
That's
holds
the
up
big-
traffic.
Yeah.
What I'm thinking of is the condos on Haywood,
she's
because it's my route. I would
The
have
ones that are being under construction.
Kane's a snitch.
They got the money to pay it.
No, they have, you know,
They have but road closures or sidewalk closures.
both. Yeah. They had to route the.
Sorry, Kaden.
So the pedestrian thing, that wasn't great for a while. It's still not good, but it's better. Yeah. And that was info at Asheville.
Downtown.org.
Okay.
Would you be the person to talk to, say, if a community member or one of our team is like, hey, I've noticed this corner, this intersection, this area gets a lot of close calls or like pedestrian safety issues. in certain areas.
Sure.
You'd be the person to kind of like work through what a, easy
We-
intervention could be.
We can look at easy interventions, but yeah, we can't fix everything, but we can usually make it better if we know we have specific issue. And yeah, and there are times where there are things that are obviously wrong, but there's something in the works. A good example of that would have been by Thirsty Monk for several months. We were working towards something. It's still not perfect. We're tweaking something there, but yeah, anytime it's just whatever it is, send our way. There are things that we can do, things that we can't. There's things that we can coordinate with DOT, and I should have mentioned that Broadway, Biltmore, Merriman, Charlotte, Clayman, those are DOT roads. So we don't have jurisdiction, but we can ask them to do certain things or ask for permission to do things. So.
Right. So one of the, as you're seeing right now, one of the main things that you guys will need to learn is this jurisdiction, because we're going to get possibly blamed for a lot of things like that is NC dot property that we just, we can't really touch. And learning what we are in charge of, what the city, what the state is in charge of is going to be really helpful in how you talk to people.
And then also we've talked about escalating, right? So if there's something that we are not able to fix, making sure you do it, put it in the Asheville app, and then we can keep track of that kind of stuff too. Because I think especially at the beginning, we're going to see a lot of escalations as we're building trust with these folks that we probably can fix a trash can, but they don't want us to right now. So it might take some time where they're like, no, just call us and we'll fix it. So we're probably going to see a lot of escalations. And I think the property owners will be very receptive to the fact that we are a squeaky wheel. Right now, nobody's saying fix a trash can every single day. If it's not been fixed, just put it in the app again and again and again and again. And that way, maybe they'll get the attention that it needs to get.
Or we annoy them enough to, they'll just take care of it.
They've got a lot to do. It's not because they don't want to.
I would say that the Asheville app is great for us to track stuff too, but the repeats it costs a lot of time too. So try to balance.
But if you already fixed it?
No, if we already know about it.
Oh.
It's in the queue.
So maybe we need to think of a better way to do it.
No, you can. I just know I've seen some that are like every week. My group doesn't get a lot of that because fortunately we can fix signs pretty quickly. Traffic signals not so much, but it's hard to convey the volume of things that we get. I think at any time between our two groups, we have probably 500 or 600 Asheville apps going at a time. So it's
well, maybe we talk about advocacy on if there's a big thing that's happening and it's not getting fixed, maybe then it turns into a phone call and then we get it fixed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's
okay.
Good to know.
Yeah, I think if you want to escalate it in my group, just contact me and I'll contact our guys. They do have to prioritize for the whole city, but if it's a safety issue, we want to know about it.
Can I ask about the parking meters and signs when there's stickers, bird poop? Like, in some of our other districts, our MTA's like, don't touch it. But sometimes we clean them because it's really gross. So what is the policy there?
Yeah, I'll speak for, parking meters. I think, we'd be absolutely open to the help of, removing stickers off the poles or cleaning them up.
Okay, great.
Yeah, same for signs. We try to take care of that. Sometimes they have to come out with some stuff and just cover paint or something, but if we have to, we'll replace signs too. Try to avoid that. We'll take stickers off.
Okay.
Traffic signals, same thing. That was a little tougher.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that stickers is going to be a huge part of what we're taking care of. There's just so many.
And some things may look like we're not paying attention to them, but we're trying to get to them. Just an example in front of Restoration Hotel, when there was ice, somebody went over the curb through the transit stop and hit our traffic signal box, and it's still sitting there with black duct tape around it right now. We're trying to get a replacement for that, so. It's still working and nobody's getting in it, so. Transit was not able to make it here. I don't know, I really don't know much about their stuff. I do know they're supposed to maintain their stops. And I don't remember how many there are. I think that's on the list of things that do the baseline thing. But Chris Whitlock is current contact for that. I did not write his name down. Oh,
I
did.
recently just got introduced to transit, so maybe we'll have a separate day with it,
Yeah.
given the our transit station.
Because that's like a whole thing itself. in
Yeah.
Our
itself.
transit station
Yeah.
is gonna be a big part of it.
It is, and something that plays into that is street lighting. There's some issues out there with that. That's another.
So
So if
street
we-
lighting,
Yeah, that's,
okay.
Would you be our contact if we had an interest in like adding, I know that takes a long time. But like
yes,
Haywood, even with a brand new streetscape, is super dark at night.
yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah.
The decorative ones,
Don't-
haven't, no, there's a mixture there because there's a desire for the warmer colored lights, whatever the Kelvin, 3000 Kelvin. But you can't crank those up real, especially when people are sleeping in the hotel and apartments nearby.
Mm,
The biggest thing that I've seen, and this was actually brought to my attention by the police folks who were doing some of the walkarounds, it's a tree trimming.
Right.
I don't mean it, I'm not trying to push this on our arborists or anything, but
Yeah.
that can affect that.
No, I think especially on Haywood Street is what's happening is it's covering.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
But we can have fixtures added. The decorative ones are a challenge. I'm trying to get some added on Lexington, one of those areas that's kind of an area that overlap by two.
Well, and the block doesn't have any streetlights at all in the whole neighborhood.
Yeah, I.
I don't know anything about it. Okay. We're working on it. We're working on
No,
it.
and I know one of the, around the, that block, the, Market, Spruce, Eagle, those were added. Those are some of the few that city actually owns. Most of them, Duke Energy owns.
That's cool. So I
including-
might be able to put flower baskets on it.
Well.
That's cool. Good enough.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Well, I mean, that,
Well, Duke Energy is just, they don't like to add things to the poles. So, but if it's city
Yeah.
owned, I think that they might be a little more
if
flexible.
if you talk to them about that on Haywood Street.
Are the ones on Haywood Street city owned?
No, I'm just curious if Duke's said anything specifically about that, because there are some that are very old that we need to replace. And we're gonna replace them with Duke, maintained and owned. So and I'm thinking specifically by SW.
Yeah. I'm working with Duke to try and get them to allow us to put flower baskets on their poles, but they are being tough about it.
What about banners, if they allow those?
Well, because there's a agreement between the city and Duke that they can put banners, holiday decorations, and fiber on the poles. So I'm trying to say that these flower baskets are holiday decorations,
I see.
especially since we don't put out holiday decorations anymore. We'll see. But if it's a city-owned pole, there should not be any issue.
We can talk about it. I mean, I guess I'd have to see what the attachments look like and how much
They don't
weigh and all that
damage or
kind of stuff.
anything,
No, I'm just worried about things getting blown down and falling out from the.
Right. Let's work on it. That'll be fun, especially here on the block. That would be awesome.
You need lights first then, I guess.
Yeah, on
the block,
we need lights.
Yeah, I know we have some on corners. I guess I'll look at that too. I can add lights though, but mostly the Cobra head, the ugly ones.
Well, there, like you said, a lot of times there's a plan in place, and so there's a plan to enhance connectivity between the block and Paxburg Park, and so I'm sure it's a part of the plan. And I would hope that the public realm infrastructure would be enhanced in this area when that happens. But yeah, so there's a plan. It's just
Right.
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah. that reminds me, that connection, some of the lights are, I'm pretty sure maintained by parks. There's a couple that I'm just not sure about. But for the most part, you can contact us. We'll fix it.
Very good.
What's the city's policy on murals on city-owned garages?
I don't know that we have a policy.
Oh, yeah.
Do we? We have a policy on it. We have a policy.
No, it's in code, and that's a development services. I would ask them, because I
And
think
he's
that's,
right behind you, right?
I think that's considered
We've been successful in requesting a temporary use agreement, so as long as we, and it's gotta go through a lot of different channels, but that's where we have found success in adding artwork or things like that to city-owned or properties. And same, I get a temporary use agreement to hang holiday lights in the trees
Yeah.
and that kind of thing, so, and banners, so I think that's why I think we could be successful with
No, I
city-owned.
think it's a worthwhile idea. There may be things in code that,
Well, and then we have to look at the signage laws.
that's
Is
exactly
that
right.
you? Are you signage as well? Oh,
Yes.
can't wait. These guys are like, what is it now? This is like open season right now for just coming in here. We can ask any questions that we want.
It's interesting.
Great. Everybody should get this opportunity.
Yeah.
Cool.
One thing I'll say, the guys here, Dean, Joel, Noah, the names here, hopefully you get to know them because they're around all the time, and they're surprisingly fast when there's something that needs to get done. It's like, hey, somebody just knocked over this big sign, and wayfinding, I think, that's not ours. But the other stuff, they'll be out there quickly and we make signs, so they can usually have stuff ready to go and installed pretty quickly. So
Can I order signs through you guys?
I don't know the legalities of that, but I mean, we can fabricate whatever.
Cool.
I'm serious, because
Yeah, no, I mean, right now we have to pay a guy $800 to borrow his signs for an event. And so if I could just like own the signs of these guys, could put them on the barricades, then
gotcha.
that could really save me a lot of money.
Yeah, and that is something I didn't mention. Our guys do participate in some of the bigger events. They fasten signs to barricades and put them out the day before, cover them.
But y'all don't drop barricades. That's a different
Correct. I mean, and really big things like when,
parade and 4th of July.
and candidates for presidency, that type
Yeah.
of thing. It's all hands on deck kind of thing.
Very good.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you guys have a real break or just a quick break? 'Cause I feel like we might need to take a, do y'all mind if we take a break? I think they'll probably be a little more receptive.
Yeah.
We'll take a quick break. Let's do maybe.